Right, everybody, welcome back to the latest Manchester United news. Now, in this video, we'll be talking about Rashford potentially staying at Manchester United, Sancho and Antony exits, with Sancho going to Napoli, which we'll talk about. We've got some interesting news on Ekitike and some more news around United, which we'll talk about towards the end. But let's get into it now. I want to start off by talking about the Jadon Sancho and Antony situation. Now, it came in yesterday, I believe, suggesting that Rashford's shirt number will be kept at Manchester United, whereas Sancho and Antony's names will be absent. I mean, doesn't that give a hint that Rashford's going to stay at Manchester United? The fact that Sancho is obviously also now being linked to Napoli as well would suggest that Sancho and Antony are likely to leave. But would Rashford potentially be staying? I mean, the fact that he's available to get his name on the shirt doesn't 100% confirm that he's staying, but would just give a huge hint that he could potentially be staying at United now. Listen, as I've said, Amorim and Rashford may be trying to work something out. Maybe Rashford wants to stay at Manchester United, but the fact that we know that Rashford said it's time for him to find a new challenge, he wants to find a new club, why would then he make a complete U-turn and want to stay at Manchester United? Is it due to the lack of offers? But there definitely is something going behind the scenes, as in why you can still buy a Rashford shirt when Sancho and Antony you can't. Now, obviously on Sancho, he has been linked to Napoli, who are making contact with him. Obviously, they have previously been linked with Garnacho. But it doesn't look like that deal is going to go ahead. I think that at Sancho, you could probably get him for less money. Like Garnacho, we wanted 50-60. Just say 60, and then for Sancho you could probably get in the region of 40. And listen, I don't know who's a better player, out of Sancho or Garnacho. I think Garnacho definitely has more potential. But yeah, let's see. Napoli making an interest. I mean, Sancho has to leave the football club this summer. That's absolutely imperative, and then it allows you to potentially accelerate for a Brian and Bruno deal. I'm hoping something will accelerate with Sancho's exit around Manchester United. The next thing, Garnacho. Tottenham are among the clubs keeping tabs on Garnacho. Now, again, we know it's Garnacho's preference to stay in the Premier League. Yeah, we know it's his desire to stay in the Premier League. He doesn't want to leave, but Tottenham, I mean, why would he go there? I mean, yes, they've got Champions League. Yes, they've got a new manager, and you can understand why he would look at them. But I'd rather be at United than Tottenham, if I'm honest. And we've seen that with the Brian and Bruno stuff. As I said, we know Garnacho's going to leave, and it's very, very likely that we will see him play for a rival this summer, or going into next season, because he wants to stay in the Prem, probably to prove a point to all the United fans, to be honest. And yeah, that's what he's going to do. I mean, Tottenham, give us 60 million, you can take him, to be honest. I think that's something that probably will happen. But yeah, listen, it's looking like Tottenham, they're keeping tabs, Arsenal keeping tabs, Chelsea as well. There are clubs interested in signing Garnacho. We just have to wait and see what happens. Also on Sancho quickly, Al Hilal have recently inquired about conditions for a deal for Sancho. Early contact with nothing advanced. Few European teams also on Sancho refusing to take a significant wage cut. Again, I just want Sancho to go. He's been a problem to United ever since he's joined, and now look, and was it 4 or 5 years later, he's still becoming a problem for Manchester United. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the Ekitike stuff. So, Frankfurt sold Omar Mamouche for £63 million and will seek a similar fee for Manchester United target Hugo Ekitike. Manchester United have inquired to Eintracht Frankfurt about Hugo Ekitike to try and understand the player's level of ability and what a potential transfer might cost. So listen, Ekitike could well be on the move to Manchester United. Reports are constantly developing. Everyone knows my stance. I wouldn't go for him. I think he's inexperienced compared to a Osimhen or a Gyökeres. There's no doubt he can score goals and he's a great technical player. But again, if you bring in Ekitike, I would want to sell one of Højlund and Xerxes, and that would be Højlund for me. But we know that Højlund wants to stay at Manchester United to try and prove his point. So it is an interesting one. For me, what I would do is I would sell Højlund and I'd bring in Gyökeres or Osman. That would be something that I would do. I don't think that is realistic at this moment with Osman's wage demands and United not really being in for Gyökeres. I mean, the stories are pretty quiet on Gyökeres at the moment, so maybe something is developing behind the scenes. But yeah, that's that on the Ekitike situation. It seems like as the day goes on, there's more and more news coming out about Ekitike. And we're slowly starting to see the conditions of the deal. I think United are keeping their options open and try to speak to as many strikers as you can. But as a summary, Rashford could potentially be staying at Manchester United with his name being printed on the back of the shirt, and he's available to buy. Whereas Sancho and Anthony isn't. Ekitike could be linked to Manchester United and could get him for around £63 million, which is what Frankfurt sold Marmoush to obviously Manchester City for. And obviously Højlund wants to stay. Garnacho potentially going to Tottenham, and also Sancho going to Napoli, which again is an interesting move. The Serie A, he'll probably do alright there because they're a much slower league. And we've seen some of the players Manchester United have had gone to Napoli and actually done pretty well, to be fair. So yeah, could Sancho potentially go there and make a move? But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you are new. This has been the latest Manchester United news, and we'll keep you up to date. The next news video will probably be at 7. And yeah, let's see what happens. But would you sign Ekitike? Let me know in the comments. And thoughts on Rashford potentially staying at Manchester United going into next season. Do you think it's a good decision? For me personally, I don't think not. I think he's a player who, again, listen, is a Manchester United lad. We know that, but there's a Manchester lad. But would he fit into the system? And that's kind of the reason why he left, with the disagreement with Ruben Amorim as well. But thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy.